All right, so now the next movie is Zodiac. Zodiac was made in 2007. It has a runtime of 2 hours and 42 minutes. It has an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's based on the Zodiac killer and his victims.
I actually think that 7 also has an 89 somehow.
What?
I think 7 has an 89.
An 89? Oh. I feel like that's a little bit too
low.
Yeah, that's too low. Compared to other things that Rotten Tomatoes gives 100.
Yeah.
And then
Cobra Kai.
So it follows reporters and investigators through this time. Directed by David Fincher, stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Mark Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr.
You just named all the Marvel people.
Yeah, well, those are the main three that they focus.
Yeah.
Okay, so we open up as a car watches civilians on July 4th, 1969. And when I first watched this, I thought it was going to be the Zodiac killer, but we find out it's just a lady picking up a guy. They head to Lover's Lane. They're obviously flirting. A red Mustang pulls up and stops and then leaves. And then
wait, it's red? I thought it was black.
I'm pretty sure it's red.
Keep talking.
Okay. Red Mustang pulls up, and then I think her name is Darlene or something like that. Is married, but knows the car doesn't belong to her husband, so she knows who the person in the car is. The Mustang comes back and kills both of the teens. Cop pulls up to the scene of the murder, and I thought this was really cool. I like how they pull up to as they pulling up to the scene of the murder. They had the phone calls go on every time. I liked how they did. I like how they do that as well. They have the phone call. They have him admitting where as the cop pulls up. So yeah, he admits to the killing, and then from a year ago. 4 weeks later, reporter drops off his kid. He's divorced. That's Jake Gyllenhaal's character, whose name is Robert.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Robert. It's Robert. Because I know I mentioned it later, but not there. Because at that point, we didn't learn his name. But everyone in the conference room, editor gets a letter from the Zodiac killer, gives facts that the public doesn't know, doesn't know about the murders yet because it's not public information, which is something when I noticed that a lot of these killers do, like when these unsolved cases and stuff specifically, like if they want to mess with the police and send them letters, they put things that aren't known to the public in these letters.
Yeah, well, because you probably have this down, but yeah, like later in the Zodiac's career, he stops putting like details that only he would know, and and then in this movie he starts giving them after it comes out in the news. So there's two options: A, he didn't do them, or B, it's some other person just writing it as a Zodiac.
What I personally think could have also... I think there's two things. It's the same person. He either just got lazy, or the main Zodiac killer killed 5 people, and then all the other ones are a copycat.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you put this, but Fincher made it sure to only include the confirmed Zodiac kills, other than some, so that the movie itself has that.
Yeah, I know. And I don't think I put that, but yeah. Okay, so then he says if they don't publish this, he threatens to go on a murder rampage. The letters are confirmed. Robert thinks he won't give his name, and then at home Robert tries to crack the cipher where he puts it up there. 12 hours later, major intelligence and investigation agencies are trying to solve it. Robert is right. Paul shows him the cracked cipher. He doesn't have the name in it. Robert is trying to figure out the leftover little words. I almost said numbers.
Yeah. And he figures out the name, or he figures out a name or something.
I don't remember if he figures out a name from that. I don't know,
but he writes something.
Yeah.
He figures something.
Yeah. Out. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't that too important, but
No. Well, yeah. Maybe it was just a shitty ad, but I know that there was Robert on it. It may have been his name, Robert Graysmith, but I thought the last name that he had written down started with an E. Whatever. Editing Jack will fact check that.
Oh wait, he does list the name. No, but I think he lists. Never mind. Okay, wait. We'll get to that.
Editing Jack will fact check.
Yeah. And then leftover letters. And then one and 1.5 months later, at a lake, 2 lovers are confronted by the Zodiac. They plead with him. He makes them think that they're just gonna get robbed, and then he ends up just killing both of them. Kind of scumbag move to do, not gonna lie.
Yeah, he really just played with them for a bit.
I know. But imagine being in that situation. How scared would you be? Especially when you think okay, I'm just getting robbed here. I gotta assure my.
Yeah. Well, maybe with a girlfriend or wife, I would be a bit more uptight and try to make sure everything's calm. But I know that if I was alone, I can tell you for a fact I wouldn't be like, do it. But I mean, like, I don't know. I don't really care if I die, whatever. If I die to an iconic killer, hey.
Something I just thought about right now as I was thinking about this is I think that the Zodiac killer, personally, he's obviously a very smart person.
Mm-hmm. Well, somewhat,
and
in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. But his basic ciphers as well. So he's somewhat knowledgeable, and I think he would tell them that he's robbing them on purpose so that they're not like all like hopeless and stuff and just try to lunge at him so that they're like, okay, I have a chance out of this.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if I wasn't getting robbed, if I was getting robbed, I'd give them my money.
Yeah.
But if I wasn't, I would just lunge at them because I'm like, okay, this is my only chance.
It's life or death. Because you die if you don't, and if you do, you have a chance. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought that they never cracked the cipher, but in real life, but they did. But they didn't crack all of it, like in the movie. So I truly think after all this time and then being public, it's not possible to crack that last part.
I was thinking about this. I'm gonna learn the cipher code and I'm gonna crack this case, Jack.
You can try
wide open.
You can try forever. I think that this person was smart enough to put stuff to lead them up.
Well, also this movie perfectly shows what an obsession with this case can do to you.
Well, yeah, does it to multiple people.
Mm-hmm. So then the car is found. Another number cipher. Zodiac calls cops to say he did it. Robert realizes it's simple. It's similar to the Most Dangerous Game, which I remember that.
Yeah, and it's not horrible.
Yeah,
but because it was like a short thing in our book.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We follow a cabbie driver as the radio host hears from viewers the thoughts on the Zodiac. The Zodiac kills the cab driver. We meet David and his wife. He's a detective, and him and his partner show up to the scene of the crime. They get a description, look at the body, find a bullet casing. They run through what they think could have happened in the scenario. Another letter arrives with a piece of clothing. Detectives show up. Go over the letter. They got
with the clothes. He gives the same piece of cloth to 100 times.
Yeah.
I wonder how many pieces he took from it.
Yeah, no. I was wondering that. I was like, I wonder if that's what actually happened in the real case. Mm-hmm. There are some FBI files on it, but there's not too many.
I know that in the real case, I just saw something about the handwriting person didn't actually touch it and dilute the sample. So I do think that they at least got one piece of cloth.
Mm-hmm. And then, so they go over the letter, got a partial print, and then they talk about the school buses being filled with kids, and then Robert is panicking for his kid's safety.
Mm-hmm, obviously.
Yeah, I would be.
I wouldn't send my kid on a bus.
I wouldn't send my kid to school because if they're coming home on the bus too.
That's true.
Because Robert works there, and he probably works kind of somewhat late nights. I don't think he would get off early, so it's like...
Well, who knows how long a cartoonist works. He does one a day.
Well, he also seems to get really obsessive with certain things and likes to stay there.
That's true.
He likes to loom over other
But he's also not a Boy Scout. Or he is a Boy Scout.
Yeah. Detective David is with a man who analyzes the handwriting. They realize they released the school bus threat. The police are absolutely swamped and completely clueless right now. They don't know what's happening. Mm-hmm. Everything is focused at a lot of the news, everyone in this town. Since not something like this in a small town never happened before. Everyone is focused on this. The police feel so much pressure just to get this solved.
I do think it was a dumb decision, in real life and obviously in the movie to give him that. All right, listen. Be honest here. I like capitalism. I mean, obviously, I like what the U.S. has now. Social or capitalism or whatever. I'm not a socialist, so I'll say that. But that is a problem with capitalism because since they would benefit financially from it, they chose it. They chose that route. Had it been run by a government, that probably wouldn't have happened. Yeah. Then again, the government still probably financially benefits from.
Yeah. The FBI actually, if you didn't know this, never opened a case into this because it fell under the district.
Yeah.
It was their thing. They aided in the cases, but they didn't have their own investigation open. Yeah, they couldn't because it didn't fall under their jurisdiction.
Dumb as hell.
Yeah, detectives and reporters realize that he's this is where he starts to break the pattern, where he kills a guy.
Yeah.
And then someone claiming to be the Zodiac wants to go on live. Someone claiming to be the Zodiac calls in and says his name is Sam. This is where the first like kind of clues. Talks about his headaches and then I don't know why, but this just kept on reminding me of the Joker thing.
Yeah. Like that Murray.
Yeah, Murray.
Well, we do know that's him though, pretty much, because like there's other times where he has like the same heavy breathing.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, the only problem with this is a lot of people said it was too high. The person on this was too high pitched to be him.
Yeah, but don't we also know that he probably wore a disguise? So like, it's not that hard to change your voice, especially for what was this? A 35-ish second phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in real life, it was like 15 seconds. Yeah. He says one thing and then he hung up.
Mm-hmm. They go to meet him somewhere. It's told it's not him. Like that's where they're like, oh, it wasn't him. They get more letters and he's mocking the cops, and the Zodiac is building apparently a bomb. And then there's another cipher. Robert and Paul go.
That's why we can't have water in the airports.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not freezing.
And then this is where I put Zodiac isn't the smartest man when it comes to ciphers.
No.
Put some pretty basic ones.
Yeah, he like took one book from the library. Was like, yep, I'll go with it.
Mm-hmm. Which this person was never ever considered as a suspect for the case, but Robert is obviously a real person.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering at this point, what if the Zodiac was actually Robert this entire time?
Yeah,
because he doesn't have full custody of his kid, so he can do it when his kid is gone as well.
But then again, he ruined his life for a little bit because of it, and got in some situation. The only thing I could think is if Robert was like schizophrenic, and so like when he's with that guy with the basement, he like actually didn't know who the Zodiac was. But then again, I'm assuming somebody would have said something in real life had Robert had some sort of mental issue.
But that's also something like the murders kind of stop after he meets that girl and she kind of moves in with him.
Yeah, but still, like, but then we learn about who I think actually was.
Yeah, we'll get into some suspects later.
At least in this movie, they do explain.
Mm-hmm. That was his favorite. That was the actual person's favorite suspect, so that's why it kind of leans towards him.
Yeah.
So then they realize there's not much basements in California because he says the line, "I'm in the basement for future."
Yeah.
A letter arrives to the news host. Woman is honked at to pull over on the road. Man offers to fix her car. She has a baby in there. The guy broke the wheel on purpose and offers to give her a lift. And he passes a service station. Imagine how scary that is.
Oh my gosh. Well, it is. I do think it's kind of cool because I mean, obviously, no one like really knows, but like how he is hesitant when he's like, "I didn't know you had a baby." Like part of him is like has some boundaries, and she's let go. The only thing I could assume is he does like say put the baby down.
Well, he said he's gonna throw it out the window.
Yeah. Well, he did say that, but he didn't. So how? Like it never explains how she got from having a baby in her hands, in the car with the dude, then how she hit the baby and got away.
Oh, it's because she jumped out with the baby.
Yeah.
She just jumped out of the car and hid and went into the cornfield. That's pretty much what happened. So they pass he's being very ominous, and then she starts to get away with the he's being ominous. He gives some clues. The Zodiac is taking praise for murders he didn't commit, and he got the what we assume is he got the logo from a name and a logo from a watch, and then at this point it's been a year since the cab murder, which like went super fast at this point.
Yeah, there's a couple like year time jumps. It's
Paul gets a threat from the Zodiac, and then he asks for a gun. And Robert Downey Jr. doesn't have too great aim, but his arms did look pretty. His forearms there did look pretty good.
Yeah, because he had to do that.
Yeah,
Iron Man.
He also did. He does a lot of training with like martial arts and stuff. I know that.
Yeah, and he's definitely not the most ripped MCU star.
Rip doesn't always matter though, you know.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm talking also about the fact that he does martial arts is what I mean as well. So Robert has a date, absolutely butchers it, but somehow the girl is still interested.
Yeah, my man just like is like completely out of it. And I guess he committed, because if I was in that situation and then someone's like, you know, your friend probably just gonna die right now, I'd be like, no, fuck you, I'm going now.
Yeah, well, I mean, also the fact that he's like he doesn't seem to pick up on social cues whatsoever.
But it's only when he starts getting involved, like super involved in the case.
Yeah. So then Paul went behind the police backs to give the news about the Zodiac. They meet the police, have similar letters to Zodiac. They don't think it's the Zodiac because they have a guy who fits the description. So Paul kind of ruined it for them as well. Paul actually went on to write books as well.
Did he go crazy?
Yeah. I don't remember if it was specifically about the Zodiac, but I know I read there was one called like two shot something. I don't know. He just he wrote some books. I don't know if they were specifically about the Zodiac. So they're getting a lot of false leads. This is where a bunch of people come in not knowing what the murderer actually did and stuff. What the murderer actually did. Then they have a huge lead on an ex-school teacher who touched kids.
Great way to phrase it.
Yeah.
He was a molester.
Mm-hmm.
Perv.
That's why he got fired.
Yeah.
There's not enough evidence. He got fired for touching kids.
And this is the guy that's like, at least this movie paints him out to be, does this movie not pretty much say he is? I mean,
it pretty much says he is. And
yeah.
I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was a rumor that at the point of his death, they were kind of closing in on him, and I assume that the police were also just going to pin it on him.
Yeah.
So, like,
well, he dies of a heart attack.
Yeah.
This says.
Yeah. Okay. So Alan is ambidextrous. They interview him. There's many shifts of tone in this interview specifically. Mm-hmm. Like he goes from more like wanting to help to like
He starts like this, and he's like, I'll help. I'll do whatever you want. And he's like, oh, but then by the end of the interview, he's literally like this, and he's like,
he also does this because he seems like he's like trying to pay attention to exactly what they say and like be more in control at that point.
He slows his talk probably because he's making sure he thinks about everything that he says. Because he's in a tough situation, because if he slips up and lies,
if he is the true Zodiac,
if he slips up and lies, then that's enough probably to get him arrested, especially because the judicial system probably wants to get the Zodiac caught by now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's even more reason that one lie would be like, he lied about this. All right, send him.
I said that he seems pretty smart with how he words things and stuff, and but he's very suspicious at the exact same time.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I felt in that scene just like those people thought. I'm like, this is him.
I would have thought it too.
Yeah, the Zodiac watch, which they do say is like a very not well known watch, so it's like weird that first off all this evidence. Good chunk being circumstantial, but still a lot of evidence.
Well, I mean, there's also the fact that he's told people he's going to go on a killing spree.
The limping, all that,
and then the bloody knives as well.
Mm-hmm. And like he's like, it was chicken. It's like
he
live in California.
Yeah, and he brought it out of nowhere completely.
I could see somebody in any rural state.
But the only thing is, he mentioned knives in the first kill. It was around the time of the first killing, and the first killing wasn't knives.
Yeah, you're right. But there is a suspected. I don't know if this is canon in this movie. I'd assume that everything that happens in real life is canon. It just they chose what to show and what not to. But in real life, he did kill the Zodiac. Oh, they do mention it. I forgot. Yeah, they think that there's like a first murder that. Yeah, because for the longest time they thought that it was the two teenagers in 4th of July. Turns out though, most likely. He got a little taste of it with like one single girl a couple months before that.
Yeah. So a lot of twists and turns.
Oh, and by the way, there could be murders that they didn't link to him.
Yeah. There's estimated around 12, but they can't actually link them to the Zodiac.
In LA, even back then, I mean, but murders are all over the place. So it's easy enough for a couple to get looked over.
This is when serial killers also were just becoming a big thing.
Yeah, like the 80s and 60s, 70s, and 80s, especially 70s and 80s. There's like a weird amount of serial killers in LA and just in general, but like Night Stalker and like it is really, really strange. I think it's because like that's the time where it borders between the technology wasn't good enough to catch them, but it was good enough for them to like do anything. So I think that's why.
This takes place between 68 to like 73. I think is at the end of this movie
because forensics wasn't a thing till the 90s.
So there's a lot of twists and turns. He's not. So this is like after we find out later on. They're like they want to get the warrant. They can't. They find out he's not the guy because the thing doesn't match up. Even though they get both sets of hands.
Yeah.
Then where did I put this? Oh yeah. I always got the names confused when I was writing this. I kept getting Paul and Mark Ruffalo's character confused for some reason.
See, if I were you, I would just wrote down the actors because I knew pretty much every actor's name.
Yeah, I probably should have. Okay, so Paul quits, which is Robert Downey Jr.
And replaced them later.
Robert is married now, so it's another big time jump. David's
Oh, you know who this is too?
Who?
The wife? American Psycho. Assistant.
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't even... Now that you mentioned that,
I knew I recognized her face, so I looked her up, yeah. So we just covered American Psycho last week. So if you want to go...
coming back up already.
Go check that out.
Yeah. Nice.
But that's the only time she's in nothing else notable, so we get to see her 2 weeks in a row and never again.
David's partner quits, which is Mark Ruffalo's character. Robert visits Paul. He's not doing too well. He's pretty much addicted to drinking and stuff.
Alcohol, and he's probably on drugs.
Yeah, I was assuming he probably was too. And this is where he mentions the Zodiac. Like he just pretty much wrote a couple letters, disappeared. So this is at the point where the murders have stopped at this point. And it's very interesting in this movie how they do it. The murders stop right after they interview the guy. Because this movie seems to set it up like they think it's him. Because it's based off of...
They get on to him, so he stops.
It's based off the book that I'm pretty sure Robert wrote. So that's why his theory is that it was obviously him. So that's why they have it thinking it's him.
And I think Robert's a good source because I can't think of any bias he would have. Like I could see cops having bias in certain ways, but
he's a good source until towards the end a little bit, which is
maybe
how he was in real life too.
Yeah, but he was like so addicted towards the end. You think that's the best? I thought that'd be the best.
I looked it up, and I don't know if she died, but I'm pretty sure him and his wife that he's married to, as right now in the movie, got divorced in '75.
Because in this, they like just take a break.
Yeah, so we don't see anything that happens with that though. So
yeah,
they get divorced in '75. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because there isn't anything, at least I can think of, where the movie deviates from real life. So I guess if you want to think of this as canon and not canon, everything that happened in real life is canon in this movie.
I could totally see me personally being in Robert's exact position, being completely obsessed with this. I feel like that's just something I would do.
Yeah, this guy's obsessed with like murder stuff. I think it's interesting, but some stuff is too out there for me.
Okay. Okay, so then Zodiac has disappeared at this point. Robert and David get lunch to talk about Zodiac ciphers from a library, how they were stolen, and because they didn't want a record of them being checked out. Robert
more library stuff like in 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert was sent to other departments to get access to some case files. Robert gets a lead, he talks with David, gets a connection through the families. I can't remember who he thinks it is at this point, but this is where he like changes between like 3 different people that he thinks it is.
I think it may be another like Robert, right, or something like that.
Here, wait, let me go to my list of suspects. So
because he's Mattingly, or I think it's like something like that.
Might have been. Okay, so there's Lawrence Kane.
No.
There's Ross Sullivan.
No.
There's Arthur Lee Allen. And then, I think it's this one. No, this one comes up later. Richard Marshall.
Yeah, that is him.
Really? Because I'm pretty sure.
Wait, well, I don't know if but it's Richard Marshall for most of like, it's Richard Marshall for the last hour until he gets back on.
I think
Paul.
there's one for a split second, and then he goes to Richard Marshall. I think like here, because this is where I think maybe it's Richard Marshall, because I think this is where he realizes it's Richard Marshall. I don't know, maybe it is. All right, and then I put Robert makes connection through the housekeeper. It was the Zodiac's birthday, and then Robert's wife isn't too pleased. She's worried about the Zodiac.
No, yeah, I think this is Robert Marshall at this time.
Yeah. No.
When he's most obsessed, it's Robert Marshall, and he's just trying to go to different places to get a way to prove it in court.
And then Robert's wife isn't pleased. She's worried about the Zodiac. He gets another random lead. Robert gets told by a fingerprint expert that he's never cleared Rick Marshall. Yeah, I put Marshall. Yeah, so it's Richard Marshall right now. Yeah. But they called him Rick throughout the movie in different parts.
See that? Because that's why I was thinking like I thought it was like shorter.
Mm-hmm. And then Robert gets called from the Zodiac again. And then it's some of the other detectives' favorite suspect is Robert Marshall, the one. If you ever watched Gotham, he's Harvey Dent from Gotham, that actor. Robert finds out who his caller is going, like, this is where he gets the random call and gets a lead, and he's going to get him some fingerprints and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the fingerprint analysis expert says it's the closest he's ever seen, but but the K doesn't match.
Yeah.
But also, I want to say something about the fingerprint expert. He throughout this entire story has been like not.
Or you mean the handwriting expert?
Yeah, the handwriting expert. He has not been like completely. No one knows completely for sure. I'm pretty sure.
First off, I think he probably
and handprints.
He may be biased a little bit, but also, I don't think he's good.
Mm-hmm. He's not a good source. Even after the case, people said he was not a good source for this case.
Yeah, he's like just a bit crazy. And also, I mean, I think this in the movie they mentioned this just so you don't think this way, but I thought this way anyway. You can change your handwriting. Mm. My handwriting has changed so many times, like different way I do my letters.
If I get called in to go to the cops one day, I'm gonna write as messy as I can. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, it seems like really easy to fake. Like, okay, I could give you an example. Like, okay, if I try to write, I can write really good. But like, if you looked at my notebook that I take notes for the movies on, it looks like shite. It looks like I'm a second grader. So I'll just write like that.
So then. David gets a call from the Chronicle about a new Zodiac letter. This is the threat, I think. And then Robert asks David for more help. David refuses him completely. Robert's kids are getting more involved, which I'm sure the wife didn't like. Robert is having a hard time with his marriage. Robert meets with Bob Vaughn. Zodiac symbol appears on all the tapes. Richard took back the film, like the one last film that he was supposed to never look at, in 1972. Bob has a basement, which seems like he is a potential suspect. He was never really looked into after this moment, though.
That's one of the that scene is so tense.
See, to me, I was like, after this,
that guy didn't make it any better for himself in the movie. He makes himself look like I
was like, he's going crazy at this point. Robert is, but like, at the same time, he was never a suspect in this case whatsoever, so it could have been him.
But I don't think it was.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Because why would he be so honest? He's like, I did that, and also, he could have killed him so many times.
So
the one thing that's weird is because it's never explained, and I really like David Fincher, but he does this a couple times, especially in this movie. Things happen that just never come back up, and this is one when he's like the footstep. He's like, "Do you live with anyone else?" I can't tell if that's literally just to add tension, or that's for a reason, or I missed something.
I think with a lot of things in this case in particular, there were probably a lot of leads and stuff that nothing came about, so it's probably that as well.
Yeah, but because it's totally possible that the Zodiac, you may have this, was multiple people.
Mm-hmm. That's why I said he could have done the first 5 murders and then become a copycat after that.
But I even mean like during when we know it's actually the Zodiac person. Mm-hmm. I mean it is totally possible. So then because it's easy to clear. If you're a suspect and you have your partner, you have the partner kill somebody as Zodiac while you are doing like an interview or with the cops, you're cleared. Vice versa.
You want to do that?
I don't know, but seriously, like in the real case, did you find any theories about that?
No, not really. But the only problem with that is obviously the handwriting, but at the same time,
No,
how the murders are happening. It's usually that's why they can't link. That's why they can only link the 5 to the same Zodiac killer because of how brutal the murders were and exactly how they were done.
Yeah, well, that could be evidence for the 2 people. Like they do it different styles, because you're not gonna like go murder together. That's the whole point of having 2 people.
Yeah, but for the 5 that they can link to him specifically, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's possible.
I just think that like it's so elaborate, and then also you can have like, because don't they say like, the handwriting kind of changes and the voice changes too? It's so easy to trick people when you have like, when you almost make yourself look like you're faking it, because people admitted to doing it, but like the cops know that this guy's BSing, so it's easy enough to clear yourself.
So now Robert meets with the first victim's sister. Robert is obviously going a little bit nuts here, because he's like forcing her to tell him. He goes to look at the one file. The investigator disagrees with his theory. Then he gets another call from the Zodiac, and then this is where the film kind of ends. He gets the name. He goes to the house. He looks into it more. He ends up going to the cafe with the detective. He just writes his book after that, and then at the last scene, I think it's the murder from
the first murder.
Yeah, from 1940.
It's July 4th.
July 4th, 1968. I think
his name's Miguel.
Yeah, it's something like that. And then he identifies what's his name?
Paul.
No,
Lee,
Paul
or Lee.
Yeah, Lee is
Allen.
Yeah.
He says Lee Allen's him, but then he's like another guy, kind of has the guy had like a round face, but I mean, Lee Allen really does have a round face.
Yeah. All right, so now.
And wait, by the way, is that the actual? I'm pretty sure that's the actual guy.
What do you mean?
That wouldn't make sense. I don't know. I thought that may have been the actual like kid.
Oh,
just
no,
with some makeup.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
No,
it's not. No, I've seen pictures of that guy growing up.
Okay, so now we're gonna do a little bit of something different for specifically this podcast, since we're doing Zodiac. Me and Jack, we've always thought this would be something cool show to do, but we obviously are busy with this podcast right now. So I'm like, you know what? This is a good show to integrate something like this. We're gonna do somewhat of a BuzzFeed Unsolved type of thing. I don't have the full story because obviously that was the movie, but I have a list of suspects, the reasons why people think it's them, and we're gonna go over each 7 of these suspects and give our thoughts on who we think it most likely is after this.
And yeah, we're doing this because like you can't really have like a fan theory on real life.
Yeah, that's another reason, because I usually look up a bunch of fan theories for the movies, and this one you literally can't have fan theories for.
Alrighty.
Okay, so the first suspect is Lawrence Kane. Suspect because he worked with Donna Lass, who disappeared in 1970, possible Zodiac victim. No one knows for sure. It's one of the ones that aren't linked. He served in the Navy, possibly learned coding while he was in the Navy, which also would explain why he has the boots. And then in 1962, a car accident left him with a brain injury, compromised his control urges. Could have possibly. And then he was arrested for peeping in 1961. Kane's name was apparently embedded in one of the Zodiac's ciphers. Darlene's sister had identified Kane as a man who bothered her sister. A police officer who probably saw the Zodiac moments after he killed said Kane was the most in likeness he had seen. And then Kathleen Johns recognized Kate as her abductor. So
What's
that's
his name again?
Lawrence Kane.
Lawrence. Well, the picture looks similar for sure. Because obviously the sketch isn't going to be perfect, but a lot of similarities there. Well, yeah, that's a lot of evidence.
I'll wait till we get to some of the other ones.
I don't know. Darn it.
That's lovely.
Oopsies. Hey guys.
Okay. So, you want to go to suspect 2 now?
I'm just trying to think. Well, because that just sounds like a guy that's a bit crazy. That doesn't sound like, especially with the brain injury, I see how that's evidence towards it, but that's also evidence that this guy isn't capable of that.
Yeah. So, now, suspect number 2, Ross Sullivan, matched the description of the killer. He had bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. He wore an army jacket and military-style boots, and that's pretty much all that is on him.
Well, that looks also... Wait, no, why is that?
I think that's Ross Sullivan. The other dude, I think knew Ross Sullivan, this suspect number 1.
No, not enough.
You don't think so? Okay. Yeah, there isn't much on him.
Yeah, because you could just go to LA and like half the people probably have some sort of military boots. It's half the men anyway.
Suspect 3, Arthur Lee Allen, was questioned in 1969 and 1971 after telling a friend about wanting to kill. He owned a Zodiac watch and the same caliber gun that was used in one of the killings. He's ambidextrous. Was discharged from the Navy on not so good terms. Fired as a teacher when he was touching kids, and he had bloody knives in his car. Investigated again in 1991 after apparently boasting about killing a cab driver. And then Mike Mager, I don't know how to pronounce the name, identified him as the killer. I think that's the one from July 4th.
That's the one I thought was like Miguel.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah. Identified him as the killer, obviously. Yeah. What do you think about that one?
I think he's the one.
You think he's the one? Okay.
Because that just so he sounds like he had a dishonorable discharge from the military. That's not a good sign. But that also means he had the possibility to get the boots that they said he could only get if you were in the military. Also, obviously, he's been proven to have these problems with the kids and everything. And I don't know if the movie's lying or not about like with him being going to jail and like that how that like time worked out, but the movie is correct about that part, then I think it's like confirmed. Also, it's easy, and this guy seems this easy part. I don't know why I said that first. This guy seems like someone that's a bit more methodical and would easily be like, I'll put somebody else's fingerprints.
Look up a picture of him so we can see what he actually looks like really quickly.
Wait, what's the first name?
His name is Arthur Lee Allen, but Lee is spelled L. Yeah. So he does mark similar result.
Yeah, because they think he put on a disguise.
Mm-hmm.
And also his build, from what people described his build to be.
Mm-hmm.
And this is him when he's young, which is very similar to the drawing. The haircut with the buzz, with like this coming back, the receding, with the glasses. The lips, that's a smiling picture, so you can't really tell, but like thin lips. He looks a lot like the picture, which, like I said, for the first suspect, isn't always going to be perfect. And there is so much evidence on this guy, and it could be, I'm a bit biased because that's who the movie pretty much tells you it is. But like, is there any more that you think has more evidence?
I think so far, 1 and this one are the best.
Okay.
There's some that are cool, but I don't necessarily believe.
Yeah.
So suspect 4, Richard Marshall, talked about finding something better than sex while he was being interviewed. Liked a film called Red Phantom, which was also mentioned in the 1974 Zodiac letter, and then he obviously owned a basement. And then so that one, there's not much on him, but there's little tie-ins to.
Yeah, but I see that's the thing. It's like I bet a lot of these have like little things, but I like a lot of movies. So if like somebody murdered and said they liked, Shawshank Redemption, I'm like, they're like, what's your favorite movie? I'm like, oh yeah, Shawshank Redemption. They're like, he's the guy. I'm like, what? Where'd that come from? And so like he has like 2 connections that are so arbitrary that they cannot be true. Paul Allen has things that like only a certain percent of the population in that area will have, like being dishonorably discharged from the military and having that access, the build, the look, and then everything else, the timeline.
Okay. So suspect 5, Richard Gowowski, I think that's how you pronounce it, apparently would tell a colleague to go engage in violent acts, and and someone said he had a similar voice to the person.
Name?
Richard, and then I think it's G-A...
I got it.
Yeah.
I mean, that looks like the picture, but I don't know. The evidence isn't substantial enough.
He apparently had a similar voice as well.
The evidence isn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people who have similar voices.
So then, suspect 6, Ervan Best Jr., served time in prison for rape. Similar handwriting resembled sketches. Lived in California. At the time, liked ciphers. Knew a Satanist and a Mason family member. I don't believe this one because this was all not like, some of the stuff was debunked in this.
Yeah.
And it was from his son, who wrote a book about believing his father was the Zodiac killer. So
for clout, pretty much, probably. But here's the thing I want to also add. It's actually a better chance that whoever the Zodiac is, handwriting wouldn't match, because he knows, whoever it is, that what handwriting he used, so he just switches it. If you're the Zodiac and you have to do a handwriting sample, like you said, why would you do the one that you know you have?
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody can tell you that, like, nobody can be like, that's not real handwriting. You have to. What do you mean this is?
So what I'm gonna assume is that he actually, I just remember this as well. The Zodiac, in the case, the Zodiac, when he probably wrote the letters, probably wrote it in a completely different handwriting, because the investigators would get documents from the people that they signed to work for something to match it up to. So it's like they can't falsify it there. So obviously he probably did something different with his handwriting when he was writing the letters.
Exactly. So it's much easier for the Zodiac to fake it than for somebody to not try to fake it.
Suspect 7, Donald Lee Brick. He was violent, killed a sheriff deputy, apparently told cellmates he killed people to make them his slave in the afterlife.
Well, that's similar.
And then Zodiac symbol was inspired by then people have a theory that the Zodiac symbol was inspired by a helicopter landing where he was stationed. I
always thought that the Zodiac symbol was supposed to be a gunshot, you have this circle and then
Okay. So now what we're going to do first is we're going to narrow it to your top 3. I obviously know your top 1. So you're going to think of 3 of the suspects, and you're going to build a case of why you think it's them.
All right. Suspect 1. That's my number 2. Most evidence other than my number 1.
Okay, that's your reasoning?
Yeah. My number 3, Richard Marshall.
Okay.
Because he was in the movie.
Okay. And then, so the number 1, most evidence. All right, I'm going to build a case for who I think likely did it. All right, so I'm going to start from who, out of my top 3, who I least think did it. So, number 3 is Richard Marshall. And I think it's a good chance because of the... So if I was in court explaining to the jury why I think it's him, it's what are the odds that this man has made many films over the years and has had that Zodiac symbol in all of them. And it was rumored that the Zodiac filmed some of his murders, and he gave a film to a friend, and he told this friend, don't ever watch it. And then after the murders stopped, he took that film back. He didn't want any evidence because he was never caught. And...
Order!
Shut up. And then he liked a specific movie that was mentioned in this. He specifically mentioned that he likes this movie. He said he found something better than sex. And what is better than sex? Murder.
Okay, I'm the defendant. Man. Let's start with the movie. Who here's favorite movie is whatever the movie is? See, it is multiple. Do you think that guy's the Zodiac, sir? Do you think that guy's the Zodiac, sir?
Really quickly, look up the movie.
What movie?
The Red Phantom. Just look it up. I'm curious about this now. Go to all and go to movie, specifically.
No, of course it's only Zodiac.
Yeah, see, that's my point. My point is this probably wasn't a popular movie.
Well, no, now it's tainted.
Here, let's look it up. Here, I'll look it up on my phone even if you want me to.
What's there more to?
How popular was the movie The Red Phantom?
There's no way to judge it because it's literally been tainted by this case. Had it been any other movie, it would be the same boat.
See, nothing comes up for it. See, this shows.
No, nothing comes up for your question that you asked because it's a dumb question. It's popular now because everybody knows it from the Zodiac. But we can't tell if it was popular before.
I think this might be it.
If they're playing it in a theater, it probably was. Popular enough. Guess we have to do Red Phantom next week.
Yeah,
No,
totally.
I'm kidding. We probably can.
No way this was popular then.
What?
Language is in French. Country of origin, France. And release date, August 17th, 1907.
Okay.
No way it's popular at this point. No way it's a cult classic at this point because movies aren't like that. Especially if it's from France and we're talking about the United States. Only a film buff would know that.
No. I'm gonna show you a movie. And I'm gonna... Okay. This is a movie that is insanely popular. It's called A Trip to the Moon. And it's a 15-second movie. Or not 15-minute movie. Here's what it looks like.
But I have a question.
In a different language.
Did you know about the Red Phantom before this?
I heard of it, but I'm also pretty sure that may be a comic book character.
Yeah, see.
But that doesn't...
Okay.
I only knew about this because I got into movies.
Also, I'm saying this is part of the case of that you could possibly build off of him.
I know.
There's not much enough.
And I'm defending.
But I'm saying this is the okay. Now
I'm defending him.
Now
right
we're gonna go to my second person.
All
Okay.
right, fine.
My second person is going to be. Wait. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna do. I think the second most possible one is Arthur Lee Allen.
What?
I'll explain. Right. Okay, so
I'm not going to defend it because I think it's him.
Yeah, I know. So just don't talk. I'll explain this one. Arthur Lee Allen obviously is.
Don't talk.
Yeah.
Shut up, John. Shut up. Don't talk. My turn.
Was obviously a very troubled man. He did things, but this is the problem that I have with this is he touched children, but the Zodiac didn't seem to when he was on the phone didn't seem to want to do anything bad to children. The only reason he threatened the children was because he wanted to make fun of the cops.
Yeah, but then again, the Zodiac, with this knowing that he has this record, wouldn't probably go for that. Plus, that's probably the reason he started to kill because he got caught for doing that thing, and he's like, how do I get this? Because it's probably feeling like thrill, you know? He's not supposed to be doing it. It's just like when we do stuff, like simple stuff though, where we're not supposed to, but we do it anyway because it's like fun. It's like that, but you know, he's an adult, so like the only two things you can do when you're adult or 3 is steal, touch children, or kill somebody. And he already ran out of option number 2.
Another thing is though for me, this doesn't there's a lot of evidence connecting him to a possible murder and with the gun, right? But at the same time, I feel like there's not enough people who recognized him. Because his picture was obviously shown to the person who got abducted, who was shown to Kane's sister. They didn't recognize him.
Yeah, but did they recognize other people? Anyone?
My number 1. Lawrence Kane.
Well, but... Okay, so why do you believe person B over person A? Person A thought it was Alan. Your person... This is kind of like the lighthouse. Like, you know... Who do you believe? You, for some reason, believe this person over...
I believe it because Kathleen Johns was the person who got abducted with a baby. Tense moment. You're going to remember the face of your abductor for the rest of your life. And it's not like you're traumatized where you got shot.
But how do you know that? Because that could...
Okay, but also let me say this. He has a better chance of looking him in the eye. She has a better chance of looking him in the eyes because they're having a conversation beforehand compared to the first murder where the guy just gets shot.
Yeah, but here's the thing. First off, why would this guy like make up a face? Second off, wasn't there other people that noted Paul Allen?
There was one. I think in the movie the sister noted Paul Allen, but she didn't think it was the killer.
But she noted Paul Allen. She didn't note the other guy.
But
and the other.
No, she noted him. She
noted both of them.
I'll tell you. Okay, wait.
So why does it matter?
Let me tell you this. No, but this person has two then, and one.
So does he.
Yeah, but my point is that I think the girl has a better chance of recognizing him than the man because he was just shot.
Okay, but here's another thing. You have never been abducted. You don't know what it necessarily will do.
You don't either.
Yeah, but you're saying that for a fact, when you get abducted, you will know that face for the rest of your life. But you don't know that if this person with her baby was in so much fear, she chose not to.
I'm saying most likely. Well, the fact that she recognized him for first of all,
just because people choose to hide things in their mind, we know this as a fact.
And also, there's another thing. Suspected because he worked with Donna Loss, who disappeared in 1970, possible Zodiac victim. This was never linked, but this is a possible Zodiac killing. But he worked with the person.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Where did he work at? Like a two teacher schoolroom?
Hotel.
Yeah, hotels
like
are
a
huge.
motel.
Cleaning staff. You got the managers.
My point is.
Owners.
My point is also this. He served in the Navy, possibly learned coding.
So did he! And anyone can learn coding. You said it yourself. You just go to a library and pick up a book.
Okay, well then... Okay.
And didn't you say, isn't this the one with brain damage?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're saying
if he served in the military, he's obviously messed up, and brain damage is gonna.
Let me say this. If he has brain damage, and he has this thing where he compulsively can't control what he acts, if he gets on the phone, you're telling me, and with other people, you're telling me not once did he admit that he did it because supposedly he can't control this impulse he has, but he can control exactly what he says all the time, and also can't control what he does, but can make methodical plans that makes him one of the most notorious killers of our time, but can't control what he does.
I think it has a good chance of being him. I could see both arguments, but I think a good chance for him because I have the most on him. There's the most evidence on him.
No, there's not.
On the stuff that I looked at, there was a lot on him because he was one of the more earlier subjects.
But Lee Allen,
you believe is because the reason you believe Lee Allen is because the movie persuades you to believe Lee Allen because this is based off of Robert's book, which his fan favorite suspect was Lee Allen. So obviously you're gonna think it's Lee Allen.
But he has so many reasons to. Plus, the timeline is just so bizarre that every single time
he's already a weird man. He touches kids.
The timeline is what I'm talking about, not that right now. Okay.
Oh, wait, let me go back to this. I think there's one more thing I need to say.
Because there's no like timeline for. Okay, wait. When did he?
Wait. Also, a police officer who probably saw the Zodiac moments after he killed said Kane was the most in likeness that he'd ever seen.
Yeah,
and he was obviously showing pictures of Lee Allen.
Other people said Lee Allen, and also, when did he have the brain damage? 61.
1962.
2, and the first murder happened in 69.
68.
Yeah, 6 years
to kick in. There's the one that was linked a year before that.
5 years.
That's the point. He had.
Think back 5 years.
The point is that he had trouble controlling this, and after a while, it was bent up. That's why
brain damage is something that happens.
Headaches.
Brain damage.
The headaches that they mentioned.
Brain damage is.
The headaches they mentioned on
brain
the phone.
damage is something.
Case closed.
Brain, dude, you're so dumb. When you get brain damage, it doesn't slowly over 5 years seep into your head.
I'm saying he had a hard time
controlling his actions, but it took 5 years.
That's when he finally snapped. Is what my point is. He finally snapped. He couldn't deal with the pain, like what was said on the phone calls.
No, doesn't make sense.
I think that one makes the most sense. All right, so if you guys
wait, hang on. No, but if he has brain damage, shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. Well, okay, so if he has brain damage, so you're saying that him not taking somebody's life is what gives him a headache? That's never happened ever.
He has brain damage. Of course, there's something wrong with him at this point.
Yeah, but I don't think that him not doing something would give him a migraine. That just scientifically just does not make sense. That's never happened.
My point is
that's never occurred.
I think that was an exaggeration. I think my theory about this is that he was just like in so much pain all the time. He had this brain injury. He couldn't control himself, and that was the one time when he was killing people. He felt in control of them. He had power over them. That's why.
No, doesn't make sense.
That's what I personally think.
You can believe that. I think that the timeline and the amount of circumstantial evidence against Lee Allen is too irrefutable to look past. And that is my thoughts.
Okay.
And that got heated, but I hope that was at least fun to watch.
I mean, it was enjoyable.
That
That's
was
for
enjoyable,
sure.
yeah. So that was... Oh, wait, we need to give our rating and everything. Oops, I almost forgot. Before we have 5 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to say this quick. I have a couple big problems with this movie. One, character focus. I think it jumps around the main character too much. The first third, simplified, it is a bit, I was thinking it's a bit more detailed, but first third, Robert Downey Jr. Is the main protagonist, and they focus on him. In the second third, that's Mark Ruffalo, and it's him, main character for like 100% main character. Third is Jake Gyllenhaal. So I have that's a huge problem.
Can I tell you something? That's not the movie's fault. That's the true story's fault. Because each of these characters drove the Zodiac story at different times.
I get that, but that doesn't. I don't care. They still have to make a good movie, because if you're gonna make if you want to do it like that, then it should have been a documentary, in my opinion. So I think, but that's not to say that I can't connect with the characters when it's their time. The only character I don't ever feel truly connected with is Robert Downey Jr. Just I don't think they try to build his character up enough. But I feel bad. Like, it really hurts when Mark Ruffalo's partner leaves, and when Gyllenhaal's life is falling apart, it hurts. But it does have that problem. Second thing, I hate when my movie wraps up by telling me what happened in text. I get so angry. If I want to know what happens in text, I'll read a book. I'll read the book instead, because it just is so unsatisfying. The movie abruptly cuts and it tells you the stuff that it should have shown you.
Well, no, the thing is...
That's personal. I really do not like when a movie ends in text.
That only really happens with true stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, all true stories do. All true movies that are based on true stories do that.
I don't care.
It's because they didn't have time to fit it in that long thing. And most of the time that it's true stories, it tells you what happened after.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
I think that's the thing I have a problem with, is I understand why they have to do it. To an extent, they still can film that, but I kind of understand why they have to do it. But I'm watching a movie. I'm not watching a documentary for a reason.
All right, enjoyment score?
Enjoyment? I think I'm still going to give it an A+, though.
Mine's an A+, yeah.
But in terms of filmmaking, a 92.
I'm going to say this. Jack made me go down a rabbit hole again. I'm literally sitting here thinking about going and trying to solve this case or multiple cases when I get home. That's literally what I'm sitting here thinking about doing.
We could do this again, like a documentary on the Alcatraz escapes. Anyway,
it was an A+, and I'm gonna give it a 95.
All right. Well, that is the Zodiac. Okay, so that was Zodiac. Again, sorry for that heated debate at the end.
It was good though. No, that's what makes good videos. Like, that was perfect. I think I really had fun talking about these murders.
Yeah, for sure. That was fun, but I got heated. Anyway, this is just an excerpt from our full podcast. You can listen to that anywhere you listen to podcasts at Word Podcast. We also have exclusive videos on our YouTube, which you're watching right now, and you might as well stick around here too. Hit the subscribe. If you like this, hit the like button. It would help us out a lot. And then we also have Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Weird Board Podcast. We hope you enjoyed. And also, let us know if you're still here, if you like this kind of style, or like this, what we did for Zodiac. I don't know. It's just nice to know if you like it. So if you do, feel free to leave a comment. And hope you enjoyed. See you guys next time.